Why prospects go silent? It's not ghosting, it's your process. Prospects don't ghost you, your process does. If you've ever had a great meeting with a prospect, felt good about it, and then got nothing but silence afterward, I'm going to show you exactly where that went wrong. And it's not where you think. If you appreciate this type of content, gently tap that like button. Here we go. A scenario. This has happened to me more times than I want to admit. You have what feels like an outstanding meeting with a prospect. They agree with just about everything you say. They tell you all about their problems openly, like they trust you. You talk through how your solution fits, and you both agree to move forward. You set up a second meeting for the next week. You're feeling good. You're writing up your notes, maybe even telling your team this one's going to close fast. Then next week comes. You call to confirm the meeting. No answer. You leave a message. Call me back. Text me just to confirm we're still on. And then nothing. Silence. No callback, no email, no text. You follow up again. Still nothing. Sound familiar? Here's the reframe. For a long time, I called that ghosting. I treated it like a normal cost of doing business. Frustrating, but just part of sales. I'd send another email, leave another voicemail, tell myself, well, just checking in. None of it worked because none of it was actually addressing the real problem. I was blind to the predictable human behavior going on and didn't realize it was in my control to fix it. So ghosting kept happening to me. Here's what I finally figured out instead. Ghosting isn't a communication problem. It's a sales velocity problem. The equation is opportunities times win rate times average deal value divided by sales cycle length. Ghosting doesn't come from nowhere. It shows up because something already went wrong in one of the three specific areas we're going to talk about below, long before the silence ever started. Let me walk you through all three, because once you see them, you'll start spotting them in your own pipeline immediately. Lever one, opportunity quality. The first one is opportunity quality. Most prospects don't ghost you because they're rude. They ghost you because they were never actually qualified in the first place. For a long time, the only question I was really asking myself was, can they buy? Do they have the budget? Do they have the authority? Those are the wrong questions, or at least not enough on their own. The real qualification has to go deeper than that. Do they have tangible urgency right now, not someday? Are they already actively trying to solve this problem on their own, which tells you it's a real priority, not just an interesting conversation? Do they actually own this decision, or is there someone else who has to sign off that you haven't even talked to yet? Is doing nothing actually expensive for them in a way they can feel? And is solving this a priority in the next 90 days, specifically, not just eventually when we get to it? Even if one of those things is missing, expect ghosting. Not because they're a bad person and not because they lied to you in the meeting, because they were never a real opportunity to begin with. They were a friendly conversation that looked like one. One time, early in my career in territory sales, I was doing a lot of cold calls. I was selling a material called paper honeycomb to manufacturers for a company called Hexacomb. On one of these attempts, I got a meeting with a production manager who was friendly and seemed very interested in working with us. The meeting went about an hour, and I thought we were going to be their next supplier. We agreed to meet the very next week, but he ended up ghosting me. I was excited, but because I qualified the opportunity subjectively by how I felt about the meeting and not based on his needs, he surprised me and ended up ghosting me later. My mistake was that I did not ask better questions to validate the outcome he was truly looking to create. Lever 2, perceived value. The second lever is perceived value, and this is where most ghosting actually happens, right after the proposal goes out. Here's the thing. The proposal isn't the problem. The value gap is. If a prospect looks at your proposal and thinks, I'll look at this later, You've already lost, whether you know it yet or not, because later rarely comes. What you want instead is for them to think, I don't want someone else solving this before I decide. That shift in how they see the problem has to happen before pricing ever comes up, not after. It happens when you ask questions that put a real cost on staying still. Questions like, if nothing changes over the next 12 months, what does that actually cost you? Or what happens if this problem gets twice as expensive to fix later? Once a prospect puts a real number on the cost of waiting in their own words, you've changed what your proposal actually represents to them. It's no longer a request for money, it's a way to stop a cost they're already admitting out loud. People rarely ghost you once they clearly understand what staying still is costing them. Here's what it looks like when that value gap goes unaddressed, and how long it can take to even find out. I was with that same company selling paper honeycomb to manufacturers in the Los Angeles area, and I delivered a detailed proposal to a purchasing agent at one of our existing customer locations. She called us out of the blue asking for a proposal, and since they were already buying from us, I made the mistake of assuming they'd just keep buying. I was wrong. She went silent, and we lost the order. I didn't even know why, not for months. Turns out she was shopping us against other suppliers on price, and ours was higher. The competitor's lower price ended up costing her more because they couldn't actually deliver. But here's the real mistake on my end. She never saw the value we brought in reliability, follow through, and service because I never sat down with her and made that value visible. I assumed she already knew it. She didn't. And silence is what happens when a prospect can't see what they'd be giving up. Quick break. If you want to know exactly which of your 4 sales velocity numbers is creating gaps like this in your own pipeline, I built a free diagnostic for that. It takes about 5 minutes. Use the QR code here, plus I'll put the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. go.sologrowth-ai.com/diagnostic. Lever 3, sales cycle length. The third level is sales cycle length, and this one's simple, but it's the one most people skip entirely. Every single day that passes between conversations gives a prospect time to lose urgency, get distracted by something else, take another call from someone else, or quietly talk themselves into doing nothing at all. Momentum is the one thing working in your favor in any sales conversation, and most salespeople give it away for free without even realizing it. Here's what that looks like in practice in 2 very different versions of the same deal. The slow version: you finish discovery, you send a proposal 5 days later, you follow up a week after that, and then silence. By the time that follow up email goes out, 12 days have passed since the prospect felt anything about this conversation. The faster version: the proposal goes out the same day as discovery while the conversation is still fresh in their mind. The review happens the next day, not next week. And the decision meeting gets scheduled before the current call even ends, not as a follow up task, but as part of the same conversation. One sentence does this for you, and it's simpler than it sounds. Here it is. Let's reserve 20 minutes on Thursday to review this together. If everything looks good, we'll either move forward or decide it's not the right fit. Does that work? That simple sentence does 2 things at once. It keeps momentum alive, and it gives the prospect permission to say no instead of disappearing, which, strange as it sounds, is exactly what makes them more likely to say yes. As they say, time kills all deals, and success follows speed. Those are both true, but in the heat of battle, sometimes deals fall through the cracks, follow up gets delayed, and the realization of opportunity lost hits hard. It's the faster I go, the behinder I get syndrome coming home to roost. I found that using the sales velocity formula every week kept me focused on the fundamentals, and over time I got sharper because of the direct real-time feedback. The pattern. So here's the pattern underneath all 3 of these. Opportunities, value, and cycle length aren't 3 separate problems that need 3 separate fixes. There are 3 points where momentum can leak out of a deal, one at a time, often without you even noticing until the silence shows up weeks later. Fix the qualification, and fewer wrong fit prospects ever enter your pipeline in the first place. Fix the value gap, and the ones who do enter actually want to move forward instead of sitting on your proposal. Fix the cycle length, and you never give momentum enough time to quietly die between conversations. Ghosting isn't something that happens to you, it's something your process either prevents or allows. And if you want to go deeper on why your revenue swings between great months and dead ones, even when your meetings go well, I made a video on exactly that. You can check it out by clicking right here.